I teach math to all of the grade 6s at Greentree, and I was noticing that engagement was really, really low. There was a lot of negativity around math, and like I remember how I felt about math in high school, and I really didn't want that for my students. Last year was also one of the most challenging crews of kids that I've ever come across, and I realized that I needed to figure out a different way to do things.
Yeah, so I was having the same kind of feelings in my math class. It just felt really stiff and boring, and I was feeling so dictated by the textbook. So I knew I needed to make a change. The learning just wasn't sticking. We both added Math PD to our professional growth plans, and our principal, Shelley, found some time for us to collaborate with each other.
We also worked with our learning coach, Holly, and we worked with Warren from the CTC, as well as Michelle Rushford, and we got together and we tried to make a plan.
So essentially we came up with a structure that was made up of 3 components. We had our math teaching, which included math journals, math games, and then math practice. The idea was we would start off with a mini lesson and then do the corresponding math journal pages. We would split the class into 2 groups. Half of them would do the games or activities, and the other half would be working on some worksheet or textbook practice.
So we planned to roll this all out in October, but it didn't really go as planned. We came back together and we tried to work out some of the kinks, and then pretty soon we started seeing changes in our students. And this is some of the stuff that they have to say.
So at like the start of the year, we just did math as a whole class and in our jump math books and stuff. And then later throughout the year, we had these math rotations and our math journals. And the good thing about the math journals is that there's a lot of, you can make it as creative as you want and as interesting as you want. But with the math books, it's just gray and white and stuff like that, and it's not that creative.
Because it's more like getting up and doing stuff rather than just writing and like the teacher telling us do this, and then when you're done do this, like more focused into it because I like it, and like having fun doing it, so like I'll stay interested in it.
It's like when I do like the activities and stuff, it makes me want to learn math more than just like working in the APs, because I used to like not like math at all because I just like worked in the APs all the time. But now that we do these like activities, I want to learn it and I remember it.
Every time my parents ask me, hey, what did you learn in school? I'm really excited to answer that question.
Well, just if you're enjoying something more, you pay more attention to it, because if you're just looking at those boring slides, then you're just half asleep. But then when you're playing a game, you're actually engaging with other people.
It's not so, because we have such a big class, it's not adding like the entire class together. And also like it splits it up and makes it so we have some fun and some work to do.
I like learning activities a lot, learning with activities a lot more, because it adds like a fun way to be able to do the math instead of just writing it down. You get to play games with friends, have conversations, stuff like that.
We did jump math books. It was really hard for me to concentrate a little bit because it was all black and white. But when we did our journals, it was a lot more colorful.
So initially, we wanted to implement the journals as a way to prepare our students for exams, grade 6s for PATs. We honestly never expected that it would become one of their favorite parts of math. We knew they were going to like the games, that was a given, but to hear them talk so highly of the math journals is super encouraging. They also, my students who came to their parent-teacher interviews, the math journal was the first thing that they wanted to show their parents, so that was really cool.
I feel like the activities help me out more, understanding, especially working with others and being able to share ideas.
Well, he was struggling on something, and then I finished my math because I got help from the teacher, and then I went into my math book and like helped them out, and just I didn't tell him the answer, but I like helped them out, and then he got it. And then he got it from me.
Well, just when you're around your friends, they're not going to judge you, and everyone else is talking with their friends too, so it's not just like you're asking someone in a quiet room full of judging classmates. Then just your friends know and the teacher, and they can help you.
She says to ask 2 groups before you go up to her. And yeah, it basically works. Usually one of the groups knows how to help you, and then the teacher gets like less people to go up to her desk.
It adds like a part of teamwork in case you need it for like a job in the future. Well, because a lot of jobs require you working with other people for it. So, you know, with the game, you get to work with other people, and it does help because it's like, oh, instead of just like working by yourself and having to figure it out by yourself, you can have your friends like count like, okay, we need this number. What about if we add this number towards it?
So in starting this, we really wanted to create some room for some leadership opportunities. We were pretty confident that our stronger students would just naturally slide into this role and help out their classmates. What we didn't expect was almost a role reversal, where students who weren't traditionally as good at math were finding ways to help their classmates. It became such a positive, collaborative environment for everyone.
The other thing that we really saw was even when we work so hard to create safe and caring environments for our students to learn in, there's still plenty of time where they don't feel confident. So this collaborative piece about this really worked well for those kids.
So we could see their engagement increasing right away. We could see that collaboration working in front of us, but we honestly still didn't know if it was actually working. We really wanted to hit that achievement piece and help our students find some success, but again, we weren't 100% sure. Prior to this, I can tell you our jump math quizzes were going horribly, so leading up to the first summative assessments after this, we were holding our breaths a little bit.
The math activities really help me with my tests because it makes me learn in a completely different way. So using these new activities, my mark has really come up. It went to like satisfactory to proficient plus, which is really crazy in my opinion.
Better than it was when I was in other grades. I've gotten excellence proficients. Last time I would get some satisfactories, a few proficients. Not as good as I am doing now.
Well, we're doing a whole review from like stuff we learned at the beginning of the year for the big test at the end. And then when we review it, I understand it a lot better than when we actually learned it.
It's basically like a learning guide on like when we do all of our new units, we put notes in there so we can look back, and whenever we're like studying for a test, then we can just look back and be like, oh, we remember it now.
Well, I've been understanding a lot more math because in grade 4 when we did decimals, like we were trying to convert it to money, like with nickels, dimes, and that stuff, and I didn't get that at all. And then this year we did decimals and it made just a lot more sense. I've known her for a while, and I know her last year and like the beginning of the year before we did math journals and stuff. Not trying to. Yeah, but she got kind of stuck marks more. Yeah. But now with our math journals, and stuff, she's been having to ask people like me less questions, and because before it went from a satisfactory to a P or an E. Yeah. Good. It makes me feel good about my grades and better about myself.
Honestly, a huge piece of this was we found that we were just having way too many students come into math class with zero confidence. And so that was a really big part of why we started doing this. So to actually hear that change and hear students talking about their confidence growing is so encouraging. This wasn't easy. It was a lot of work, and I'm not gonna lie, there were times where we got together and said, no, it's not working, let's stop, go back to the drawing board, but we pushed through those self-doubts, and we made adjustments to make it work for both of our classes, and just super encouraging to see the results of it for our students.
I have been teaching math for quite a few years at this point, but last year I was in survival mode. I knew that I needed to change something up in order to have a successful year with these guys. And when we made this plan, we didn't know how it was gonna go. But I do know that I had one of the most fun teaching years that I've ever had before. It was a good time.
Thank you for listening to our story.